Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca. I'm Senior Research Consultant at InSites Consulting, and today I'd like to start by asking you a question. So the question's about your food preferences, but I'm hoping that you're also going to learn a little bit about yourself, as later on I'll let you compare your answer to the average one. So I'd like you to imagine what you would normally do if you were going out to eat at a restaurant that you'd been to before, and on the menu was a dish that you remember liking. So you might need some more information about the restaurant or the dish itself, but for now, I just like you to think about how you typically react in that situation. So I want to know, generally speaking, when you eat a meal out, do you prefer to A, order something you had before that you know that you like, or B, order something that you have not had before, even though you might not like it? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. So I'm going to reveal the average answer at the end of the presentation, but that leads me on to what I'm going to be talking about today, which is how and why we should share back the insights that we gain from consumers with these same consumers who are answering our research questions. And why is that important? And if I think back to university, I do remember several occasions where my flatmates and I, bearing in mind that we were students with probably a bit too much time in our hands, would be scrolling through BuzzFeed, filling out quizzes. And these quizzes promised to reveal something about ourselves, which we could then compare to one another. They covered all the need to know topics, from would you rather questions to testing our knowledge of TV shows like Friends with other people who'd done the same quiz. Because basically, finding out what kind of bread we were was clearly more pressing than any deadlines we had at the time. And, just by looking at the popularity of the Myers-Briggs test, or even the more recent viral "How bad is your Spotify TikTok trend," which is where an AI bot would scan your Spotify listening data to tell you just how bad your music taste was, you can see that we actually weren't alone in finding this stuff pretty entertaining. And there might be good reason for it. Psychologists actually say that self-evaluation has evolutionary benefits, such as being able to compare your hunting skills within your tribe. They call it our self-assessment motive, which is basically our drive to gain an accurate picture of ourselves and our personality. The evidence shows that we are motivated to learn about ourselves, which actually got me thinking, is this something that we could apply within our own research work? And I know that sharing research findings with consumers isn't necessarily new, but I do think there are more opportunities for us to do this. And one solution would be to create mappings of key questions to show each participant exactly where they land in the group. And in a society where we're in danger of living in echo chambers, using research in this way just to show the breadth of human opinions could be really important. For longer term studies, such as trackers, we could take this further. For example, not only shedding light onto a consumer's behaviour just at a one off glance, but actually showing them how their same behaviours and attitudes might actually evolve from previous years that they've taken part in the research. And you might be thinking this isn't always feasible. And of course, for the more confidential or tactical projects, maybe it isn't. But for the broader U&A questions that we often ask at the start of the research funnel, just dedicating that bit of extra time post-project to share these findings back with consumers could be an easy win. And bearing in mind, these days we see personalised comms in all kinds of sectors, so it's a great way to make sure the research world keeps up, especially because we're in quite a unique position where consumers knowingly share all this data with us, so we can do this in a way without being super creepy and stalkerish. The impact would be a boost in both engagement and intrinsic motivation as consumers can get something out of the research for themselves. While nothing might beat that nice, sweet reward voucher, a more personal research experience could just give them that extra layer of encouragement to take part. And thinking specifically about the younger groups who we know it can be a bit of a challenge to engage them in research, and thinking about my own BuzzFeed quizzing days, Making participation more attractive by showing back these insights could be a good solution, especially if the outputs were designed to be shared online. Taking example from one of our own online communities at InSites, we noticed ourselves that Gen Z were pretty engaged in discussion after I shared back their top media trends with them, for example, their favourite influencers. And it was a really quick win because these trends I'd already pulled out for our own analysis anyway. So I hope you can see why sharing data back can be a good value add. And speaking of sharing data, I can now reveal that of the 1,000 adults who answered my earlier question, 69% would order a meal they had before, while 31% would risk it and order something new. And taking this a step further, a study in Turkey actually found that being open to trying new foods links to our personality. So, Gen X participants who like trying new foods scored higher on the openness to experience personality trait, while Gen Y participants were more likely to be extroverts. So you can see whether you agree with any of those findings based on your own experiences. But by leaving you with a little nugget of information about what makes you unique, I'd like to think that the next time I wanted to give you a call to take part in research, that you'd be more inclined to answer that research call. So, as a final thought, I invite you to think about a project you've worked on or heard about at this festival that had interesting results. And imagining yourselves in the shoes of a person who took part in that project, would they have found the results interesting as well? And if so, how could we share those with them? Thank you.